So we're starting today with Lama Chesam Beis, the last Gemara on Chazara. Okay, last Gemara on Chazara.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, let's go. Who's reading today? Kapel. I'm pretty happy. Amar Rav Zrika. It's like Lama Chesam Beis. Yeah, it's like a few lines down.
Amar Rav Zrika. Amar Rav Baya. Amar Rav Zadai. Lo shanu ela she'oden biado.
Okay, 1 second. So Chazara, if you're going to say you can return food to the fire, that's only permitted when?
Still in your hand.
She'odam biyado, when it's in my hand. So what's the case? I did Shehiyah on Erev Shabbos. It's Friday night, I sit down to eat. Okay, I go to get my food from the fire. So what do I have to do in order to be able to do Chazara? I do Natila, I take it off. The food is still in my hand. I serve it, and then I put it back on. Okay? Clear? Okay. Dylan, you understand that? Okay, next.
About Aniyah Algav Karka Asur.
Stop. What does that mean?
Putting it on the floor around the table is Asur.
Okay, so because what does that imply?
Is that you're releasing it, or
You're releasing it. You are putting the if I take it off my HaKirah on Friday night, right? I put it on my table to serve everybody. Can I do Chazara after that point? No.
Didn't you say letting it go was that, sir? From your hand?
Wasn't it the same thing?
Yes, but I didn't say that.
What about putting it
That's what it means. It means there's an interruption. Point is that if it's in my hand, there's no interruption. If I put it down, there's an interruption.
Putting it into
Put
someone
it down
else's
while
hand?
it's still in your hand.
Well, then it's still in your hand. It's not down. In other words, what it means is that when you put it, Agabe Karka means it's no longer in my hands.
Fine.
Everybody learns that way. Okay? That's what it means. So I put it down.
So if it's
So-
someone else's hands,
If it's,
if it's too hot for you to hold, so you put it in someone else's hands.
oh, that's a good question. We'll take that up on the post. That's a good question. That's a good question. But for now, let me ask you a question. For now, before going on the Gemara, that would seem to make sense. Is that crazy what the Gemara is saying?
No.
Why?
Because it's an interruption.
Right. In other words, it's true. It's very nice and fancy to say that there's no idea of Chazara after Shehiyah, but that's only if you can relate the Chazara back to the Shehiyah, right? But if I actually put it down, I mean, that's really an ending of the Shehiyah.
We're like objectifying a Hesakadas kind of.
Correct, but that's not so crazy. Let me ask you a question: If I take food out of an oven and I put it on my table to serve, would you ever say that the heating process of the oven is continuing?
No.
You'd say that I'm done heating up the food. When I take the chicken out of the oven to serve you guys, right, and I put it down, what does that tell you?
But if you're holding it,
But if I'm still holding it, at least there's some relationship between me and the cooking because I can put it right back in. Now, of course, Mati would say, "Well, what if I go running around for like 6 hours?" Okay, right, you would. All right, so go on. Okay,
Amar Rav Ami Rav Zadai. The Aver.
the avad,
The Avad.
the garmehu the avad. What does that mean? Anyone want to take a shot at that? Don't worry about the words. What does it mean? It's a phrase.
He pelted.
he caused.
No,
He finished.
it means that he's his own guy. Okay, he passes like himself, but we don't pass like him.
That's what he's
Okay.
What is that?
Because it's a saying.
Doesn't everyone always pass on himself?
No, I mean he's like he's got his own shtick going, but we don't really we don't look at him as reliable. He's a das yachid, okay, almost, as you'll soon see, okay. So the Gemara says no. Ella hachi amar Rav Chia, amar Rav Yochanan.
It can't be exactly Das Yachid. He had 3 people saying
Hold on, yeah, but they're all bringing down Rav to die though.
Maybe just quoting.
Right? You'll see. Go on.
that happens.
Afilu Hanicha Al Gabe Karka Mutter.
Stop. So what does that mean?
Even putting it down on the table is fine.
Okay. So what's the other side going to say?
It's not an interruption.
Is
As
that-
long as the thing's still hot, you can.
Right, so it's still hot, so you can say that the temperature of the thing relates it back to the Shehiyah. So a simple svara, what simple svara could you say at this point?
You
Just a
have,
very.
to, you have to take it off long enough for it to cool down in order to be.
There's what creates the interruption in the heating up process? Okay, is it that I can effectuate a change in the temperature, right, or is it that I actually remove it from the HaKirah? Simple logical deduction.
No, it's not that you move it from the HaKirah, so you have to put it down.
That's what removal of HaKirah means. Well, that's what I mean by removal of HaKirah.
Yeah,
I'd
but
actually.
why? But that's not a svara.
It's a hesakadas. It's a hesakadas.
Hesakadas?
Yeah, it's a hesakadas.
No,
But either way,
It's not a
no. 1 second. Either way, hesakadas emerges. The question is, how does hesakadas emerge from the cooking process? How does the break in the hesakadas emerge in the cooking process? Is it when I? Well, you know what? We'll work it out. Okay, we'll work it out.
According to the other cases, you hold the pot for 3 hours.
But it will get cool. Then it won't work.
What if you have a pot
the
that
other
won't
one,
be
the other
cool?
one. Not this one.
You put it down the karka?
No.
You put it down on the ground.
No, you're just holding
You're holding it.
Only for 3 hours.
You can't put it back on because it's cool.
What if you
The starting point everyone agrees that it still has to be hot.
Okay, fine.
What if you have a pot that doesn't let it get cool?
What is that? What kind of pot is that?
Like it's a
thermos?
like
Then it'd be fine.
Okay.
It'd be fine. If I take off a, let's say I have I mean it's not going to work because if it's like a thermos, you really can't put a thermos on a heat source. Let's say you did.
Let's say you have a pot with that's covered. It doesn't lose heat. It takes like 6 hours to
But yet you can heat it up.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Yeah, because Gemara sadistic.
Leave Rav Dimi, Rav Shmuel, Bar Yehuda, Vitar Viehu,
The travayu.
Vitravahu, Mishmea, Zeravi, Elazar.
Alright, so it turns out you have machlokas. Okay. Now what is that? What's this machlokas?
I don't understand her philosophy.
Oh, so go on. Amri. I'm sorry. Chad Amar.
Chadamar, Odin, Biado, Mater. Algav, Karka, Asur.
V'chad Amar.
Chadamar, Hani Khan Algave, Karka Nami, Mater.
So we see the Gemara rejects the notion of Rav Tadai being a unique shita, but this hasn't added anything. All this is telling us the same information: is putting it down on the ground. Once I do that, would it be asur do chazara to that or mutter? Okay. Now, Amar Chizkiya.
Amar Chizkiya, Mishmei, Abai, Hadamar,
The Amris.
Amris Algave, Karka.
No, where are you? Odon. You're at the second Amar Chizkiya. Oh, he is?
Oh, no, I'm not.
No. Amar Chizkiya Mishmei Da'abai. Had Amris Odom Yada.
Hadamar, I'm Odin Biado, Mater. Lo, Amran, Ella, Shidato,
Lahachzer. Good. Aval.
About Ain, Dato, Lahachzir, Asur.
Asur. Okay. All right. Now just go a little further. Miklal. Right. The Algabe Karka.
Agavi Karka, Afal P, Shidato, Lahachzir, Asur.
Okay. So what does that mean? Yeah, there's a principle we deduce from that.
We derive.
Yeah. So let's get the first statement down. Come on, Kabul. Ready? Lo Amran. When we say it has to be in your hand to be mutter, Lo Amran, we don't say that Ella unless shedaito lahachzir. What does daito lahachzir mean? So when I take it off, what do I say to myself?
I'm going to return it.
Okay, so that's a little. You see, this wrinkle now becomes very problematic. So when I take it off, in order to be able to put it back on, what do I have to have in mind? That I'm going to put it back on. Meaning that if I took it off and I said, you know what, it's still in my hand, right? And I run around for 4 hours, but my das is not to return it, then that's it. So the fact it's in my hand doesn't help you.
Why are you
Okay?
running around holding a hot pot for 4 hours?
I'm in a good mood. So what's the klal, right? The klal is no, but look what the Gemara deduces from this. The Gemara deduces from this that if you put it down, okay, if I put it down on the ground, meaning I let go of the kira, of the kli, right? What do we learn from that? Even if my das is to return it, it's asur.
So because putting it down is gila dust, the opposite way.
Sure, that's fine. For that works for now. So let's understand this, okay? Again, first we establish if it's in my hands, right? Mutter. If I put it down on the ground, asur. But then there's a qualification, okay? If I take it off, right? As long as my das is to return it, then it's okay. If my das is not to return it, right? Then I can't do chazara. And certainly, I shouldn't say that, but as well, okay, or what we learn from this is that if I put it down, if I let go of it, even if my das is to return it, it will be a problem. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that side saying? That side's saying that once I put it down, my das doesn't matter.
Right.
But when it's in my hand, my das does matter. Right? Okay, now keep going.
Echa Damri.
Ika damre, which means what?
There's one who's.
Well, there's another way to learn it. To say it's basically almost always it's the same thing except for here. Ika damre.
Amar Chizkiya, Mishmei Dabai, Hadamar Al Gabe Karka, Asur. Lo Amran Ella Shein Dato Lahachzir. Aval Dato Lahachzir Mater.
Stop. Okay, and now sorry, semicolon. Miklal.
Miklal, Shivodan,
You got it.
Biado, Apapi Shein Dato Lahachzir Mater.
Now you can understand why it's almost impossible to define this, okay? So what's the other side say? The other side says, no, there's another way to learn it, right? When we say it's asur to do chazara after I put my pot down, okay? That's only if what?
You've got no das.
If I have no das. Well, no, not no das. And my das is not to return it. But if my das is to return it, right, to put it back on, if my das, when I put this down, I'm saying, you know what? I know I'm putting it down, but I have in mind I'm going to put it back on in an hour. or whatever. I'm going to put it back on. Okay, I don't care when. I'll put it back on. Then it's okay. So what do we deduce from that? That if it's in my hand, okay, what's the?
I'll offer you a tissue.
No, I'm okay. So if it's in my hand, right? If it's in my hand, right? Regardless of what my das is, whether or not I have intention to return it or not, it's irrelevant. I can always put it back on. What? It's worse than svarafukos. For sure, you could say as a step, you could say that okay. So now it's now kavua in a different location. Okay, but so what does that? But what does that ultimately require then? What must you do in order to what do you call it? In order to break your das, what do you require ultimately?
In order to break dust, you have to require resting in a new month.
Because what is that?
An objective
Okay.
shia.
It's a I know, right? But why? Because what's halacha looking for? It's looking for a shear, right? So what's the shear? The shear is a maisa. Agave karka, making kavu another makom. That means you did a maisa. You have to do an action to break your shahia. Okay, taking it off, and if it's still in your hands, what the Gemara is telling you is that that's not a break in. There's no maisa there.
Not shia.
Right. In other words, if it's still in my hand, you can't tell me I've done a maisa yet. It can still relate back to the cooking of the shia. So all this is telling you is that do you need a maisa?
So what about no das?
What? Oh, 1 second. That's exactly where the problem's going to emerge. For 4 das. In other words, if you didn't have das, all you'd say is, do I require a maisa or not? Biyado's not a maisa. Right? Now, why would you think? Because everyone says biyado's never a problem. No one ever says biyado's a problem. The only question is karka a problem?
No das, that's a problem.
We don't know about das yet. That's coming up. That's this. Just stick in this box over here. Okay? Look at the box.
Doesn't biyado include no das?
What else is it about?
The das.
Okay, so now you have a problem here. Okay, so this is almost as far as you can go. In other words, you see, there's two ways you can ascertain the relationship between the food, the cooked food, and the kira. Once I take it off, either do you require maisa, right, or is it din and das, right? But if you look at the two possibilities, what do you notice? Look at the two possibilities. Look at B, 1B and 2C. Right? What do you see that they have in common? Well, what do you notice there?
None of them are just mice or just us.
Well, right. Well, okay, good.
Well, shia definitely does not continue automatically.
That's true. Okay. So what would you say though? This is the problem. Like, how does this work?
This is das now?
Yeah. How does it work?
Oh, those.
Think about it. What creates an environment that allows you to do chazara to begin with? Das, right? You see, you guys forgot the principles. Let's go back to Garf and Katum. Okay? There's 2 ideas in Garf and Katum. One is I'm doing a maisa, I do the Katum, and then what does that produce?
Yes.
It breaks my relationship to the thing. And what the Gemara is struggling with here, and by Chazara, what it's struggling with here is that you have maisa and you have das, right? But the Gemara doesn't know what to do. Meaning, what do I mean when I say the Gemara doesn't know what to do? Which principle is the overriding principle? Is it das or is it maisa? Okay? It can't ignore the other one, but it wants to know which one is the guiding principle. So take a look at this for a second, okay? Take a look at 1B. What's clear from 1B? What's the overriding principle in 1B? Das.
Das is different.
Das is the overriding principle. But yet, but by the case of karka, why does it not matter what your das is?
You don't even have the
Because the maisa is one of a gilui das that it's what do you call it? It's not going to go back on the kira. You did a good job with this far.
No.
If you say das is the overriding principle, that das is what determines everything. So then, when I put it down, what is that? What is that? The action is a gilui das that I have no intention of bringing it back to the kira. That's objectified. But the way I relate to it is the key principle. Okay, what's this one therefore saying? That's not das. What is it? The maisa, right? Yeah. If I take it off, if it's in my hands, okay, whether or not I have das, it's irrelevant. Why? Because I haven't done a maisa. I haven't done a break of shia. Right? There's no interruption in shia.
That is maisa.
But it's a maisa. But the thing's like this. But if maisa is really what we go by, well, we have to determine. It's not that the maisa produces a gilui das. Rather, what? The maisa needs to be defined. Right, the maisa needs to be defined. But here, that's it. It's a gilui das that by definition I'm not returning to the.
It's just not shia. It automatically breaks the shia.
What's what I mean?
I don't think it's